In the shadow of Jeddah's bustling life lies a tale so dark it chills the bone. Bandar Al-Qurdi's story starts with a dinner, a mundane evening turned sinister, marking the end of a friendship 2 decades strong. What drives a trusted friend to orchestrate a deadly trap? This isn't just a story of betrayal, it's a descent into the darkest abyss of human relations. As we peel back the layers of this tragic event, we find ourselves questioning the very nature of trust and friendship. Join us as we uncover the harrowing story of Bandar al-Qurdi, a narrative that exposes the sinister lengths to which betrayal can go, forever altering the lives involved and shaking the core of a community. For over 20 years, Bandar Al-Qurdi and Barkat Gabril Al-Atifi shared a bond thicker than blood. Colleagues at the Saudi Airlines, their friendship was a testament to loyalty and camaraderie, with shared experiences both in the skies and on the ground. They navigated life's ups and downs together, celebrating successes and shouldering burdens side by side. Their friendship was an unwavering constant in a world of change, a rare find in the transient lifestyle of airline work. But as the years passed, cracks began to appear in this seemingly unbreakable foundation. The rift was not a sudden chasm, but a gradual erosion born of misunderstandings, envy, and the unspoken grievances that often accompany long-term relationships. The specifics of their falling out remained known only to them, yet it was clear the bond had frayed, leaving a palpable tension in its wake. Despite this growing divide, the connection between Bandar and Barkat held remnants of its former strength. Perhaps it was this lingering attachment that made the events of that fateful evening all the more shocking. On a night that began like any other, Bandar, after a long day's work, picked up a light dinner with plans to enjoy a quiet evening at home with his family in Jeddah. It was an ordinary evening, with the familiar comfort of routine providing no hint of the darkness that lay ahead. The turn of events was sparked by a simple phone call. Barkat, reaching out after a prolonged silence, suggested they meet to mend their frayed ties. The offer, coming from someone once considered a brother, was impossible for Bandar to refuse. Hopeful for reconciliation, he agreed, unaware that this decision would set the stage for a tragedy that would not only end his life, but forever alter the lives of those he left behind. As Bandar stepped out into the night, leaving behind the warmth of his family home for the last time, the stage was set for a confrontation that would culminate in an act of betrayal so profound it would send ripples through the community and beyond. The story of Bandar and Barkat, once defined by friendship, was about to take a dark and irreversible turn. Bandar's evening commenced as any other, steeped in the comforting embrace of routine. The air in Jeddah buzzed with the quiet hum of dusk as streets slowly emptied and homes filled with the laughter and chatter of families gathering for dinner. Bandar, after a day's work, was no exception. He looked forward to unwinding with his family, cherishing the simple joys of a shared meal. With a light dinner in hand, he envisioned an evening of tranquility, a brief respite from the demands of his job at Saudi Airlines. The night, however, had other plans. As Bandar stepped into the sanctuary of his home, a phone call pierced the ordinary calm, a call from Barkat, his long estranged friend. This was unexpected, to say the least. The voice on the other end of the line, once so familiar, now carried the weight of years of silence between them. Barkat's proposal was straightforward, a meeting to bridge the gap that had grown over time, to clear the air of misunderstandings, and to possibly rekindle a friendship that once meant everything to Bandar. This proposition, under normal circumstances, might have been met with skepticism, given their recent history of unresolved issues. Yet, the very normalcy of the evening, the safety of his family environment, and perhaps the human yearning for reconciliation nudged Bandar towards acceptance. He saw an opportunity to mend fences, to recover a piece of his past that he hadn't realized he missed until that moment. With a mixture of apprehension and hope, he agreed agreed to the meeting, setting aside his dinner and stepping out into the night. The decision was made in the span of a heartbeat, yet its implications would stretch far beyond that moment. Bandar, in his desire to salvage a once precious friendship, unwittingly walked into a scenario that would culminate in an unimaginable tragedy. The contrast between the serene expectation of a peaceful night at home and the grim reality that awaited him underscores the capricious nature of fate. As he left his home, the door closing softly behind him marked the end of normalcy for Bandar and his family. The routine evening, once filled with the promise of rest and connection, now stood as a poignant prelude to a night of horror. Bandar's fate was sealed with that single decision, propelling him towards an outcome that would forever alter the course of many lives. In this last dinner, the juxtaposition of the ordinary with the catastrophic serves as a harrowing reminder of the fragility of life and the unforeseen consequences of our choices. The night air, thick with anticipation, seemed to hold its breath as Bandar drove towards the agreed meeting spot, a deserted parking lot on the outskirts of Jeddah. This location, devoid of life and light, was a stark departure from the city's vibrant heart, where Bandar's life pulsed along with millions of others. The silence here was palpable, a foreboding canvas to the upcoming betrayal. Bandar, with a mix of nervousness and hope, parked his car, scanning the shadows for Barkat's familiar form. The minutes stretched on, each passing second amplifying the isolation of the setting. Finally, a figure emerged from the darkness. Barkat, his once closest friend, now a silhouette against the dimly lit backdrop of the night. The reunion, if it could be called that, was brief and devoid of warmth. Before Bandar could fully grasp the situation, the night erupted into chaos. Barkat, betraying no hint of the friendship that once bound them, attacked. The confrontation was swift but brutal, catching Bandar completely off guard. He was overpowered, bound, and rendered helpless in a matter of moments. What followed was an act so heinous it would later send ripples of horror through the community and beyond. With Bandar incapacitated, Barkat proceeded to douse the car in gasoline. The moment the match was struck, the night was ablaze with cruel flames, turning the vehicle into a fiery tomb. Barkat vanished into the night, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable terror. The act of setting Bandar on fire was not just a murder, it was a message, a horrifying display of vengeance that went beyond personal grievance. The brutality of the ambush shocked the community to its core. Jeddah, a city known for its bustling life and warmth, found itself grappling with the dark reality of what one of its own was capable of. The betrayal, the premeditation, and the sheer violence of the act were alien to the city's character, leaving its residents in disbelief. News of the attack spread like wildfire, igniting a wave of fear and revulsion. How could a friendship end in such a ghastly manner? What could drive a person to commit such a barbaric act against someone who once stood by their side? The community mourned Bandar, not just as one of their own, but as a symbol of the fragility of trust and the depths to which hatred could plunge. As the details of the ambush unfolded, the horror of Bandar's final moments became a haunting narrative, a stark reminder of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of everyday life. The city of Jeddah, forever marked by the tragedy, would never forget the night one of its brightest lights was extinguished in the most brutal manner imaginable. In the immediate aftermath of the tragedy, the community of Jeddah was enveloped in a palpable sense of grief and disbelief. The brutal murder of Bandar Al-Qurdi, once an inconceivable act, became a stark reality that haunted every headline and conversation. The shockwave sent through the community transcended mere horror. It sparked a deep-seated fear and a reevaluation of trust within the very fabric of society. The investigation into Bandar's death unfolded rapidly, driven by the urgency of public outcry and the damning evidence left behind. Surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts soon led to Barkat Gabril Al-Atifi's arrest, painting a clear picture of premeditated betrayal. The community's grief was now tinged with anger, demanding justice for a soul taken too soon in such a vile manner. Barkat's trial was a focal point of national attention, not just as a matter of legal justice, but as a societal reckoning with the depths of human cruelty. The evidence presented was irrefutable, leading to a swift verdict. Barkat was found guilty of premeditated murder, a conviction that brought Bandar's family a semblance of closure but little solace. The sentence, while serving justice on a legal level, ignited debates on the effectiveness of the justice system in deterring such heinous crimes and the societal factors contributing to such acts of violence. The ripple effects of the crime on Saudi society were profound. It prompted a collective introspection on the nature of relationships, the signs of deteriorating bonds, and the measures one might take to prevent such tragedies. Educational campaigns on conflict resolution and mental health support saw a surge, aiming to address the underlying issues that could lead to such extreme acts of violence. The tragic tale of Bandar Al-Qurdi leaves us with a heavy heart and a multitude of questions. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable realities of betrayal, the fragility of human relationships, and the capacity for darkness within. This story, while deeply rooted in the specific dynamics of Bandar and Barkat's relationship, serves as a broader reflection on the values we hold dear and the importance of vigilance in safeguarding against the unthinkable. As we move forward, let us honor Bandar's memory by cherishing the bonds we share, approaching our relationships with kindness, and never taking for granted the trust we place in one another. What are your thoughts on the justice served in Bandar's case? How can we, as a society, work together to prevent such tragedies in the future? And what steps can be taken to strengthen the bonds of trust and friendship within our communities? Share your reflections and ideas in the comments below.